Percy, and from 4, Wayne Gardner and Bradley Jones. From 5, Dick Johnson and John Bow in the Shell Racing Falcon. 6 is 30, Glenn Seaton and Alan Jones in the Peter Jackson Falcon. And from 7, 05, Peter Brock and Scotland's John Clellan, the Mobil 1 Commodore. Brabham and Olafson start out of position number 8 in car number 2, and from 9 it's 18, Paul Radisich and Cameron McConville. Position number 10, car number 7, Neil Crompton and Mark Gibbs.
From position 11, Morrison Winkelhock with the first of the BMWs. From 12, Dunstan and Harrington. From 13, Longhurst and Soper with the second of the BMWs. 14, Brabham and Parsons, and 15, Jones and Crick with the Ampol Max Commodore. From 16, Ashby and Reed with their Commodore. 17, Pearson and Stewart. 18, Medecky and O'Brien with Alan Moffat's entry. 19, Preston and Peters. And 20, Finnegan and Rogers.
From position 21, Full and Fitzgerald in the other Diet Coke BMW. 22, Donaher and Donaher in the Mokapan Coffee Commodore VL. From 23, car 4, McCall and Gazzard. 24, car 20, Blanchard and Allen. Out of 25, car 39, O'Brien and Callahan in another Holden. Out of 26, car 22, English and Yulden in another VL. From 27, Johnson and Wall. From 28, Trimble and Harris. And from 29, car 26, Lusty Heffernan. And rounding out the 30, car 44, another Holden, Matthews and Mulvihill.
Position number 31, it's 45, Golson and Golson. 32 was Wilmington and Pate in the Falcon EV. 33 is number 6, it's Johnny Smith and Bates in the Caltex Team Corolla. And from 34, 19, Wilson and McShane in the Commodore VL. Colin Bond and Terry Bosenjack in the Caltex Team Toyota Seeker in the next ones. From 36, 52, Cotter and Dillman. 37 is 77, Ellery and Gassati in a Sierra. 38 is 79, Conway and Gardner in a Corolla. 39 is 75, Frank Binding and Dartell in a Corolla. And McMillan and Martin round out the 40 mark.
More of the little 2-litre cars, the Corollas, Stratton and Madden from 41st. 42nd, Easton and Kratzman. 43rd, Cramp and Cribben. 44th, Rogers and Hopwood. And rounding out the 45, Masterton and Hills with their Sierra.
All right, thank you.
And so the engines start here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Everyone is gearing up for the start of the 93 edition of Australia's Great Race. The front row, Larry Perkins and Mark Scaife to square off in a very, very long race. We'll take a break and come back for the start.
This hour of the Great Race is proudly presented by Shell. Go well, go Shell.
Mount Panorama Bathurst, and the cars working their way down Conrod Straight off the mountain. Prior to lining up, we get underway at 10 Eastern with the 2Es 1000. We've already been through the field for you on a couple of occasions this morning. We have the race fairly well covered, we believe, with Racecam. We'll be chatting to a number of drivers during the course of today. And we have the pits covered as well. A great feeling here, and a huge crowd that we've mentioned. The biggest crowd I think I've ever seen at Mount Panorama all week. They were here from Monday, so those who like to take a week off and soak up the atmosphere, soak up plenty of other stuff as well. They've been here all week and they've enjoyed themselves. But the moment of truth is arriving. Let's hope we get off to a safe start. We have everyone underway off the grid.
Even on Thursday, there were 20 deep on the top of the mountain, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is one of the most open races for years. Anyone in the top 15, 20 cars is a genuine chance for victory this year.
And the interesting thing was, and I think I've alluded to it for a couple of weeks, and Tony Longhurst, for the first time, I believe, has just stated it, they are here today for an outright win. Yeah. So you can forget all the palaver about, oh, we'll be there and we may win if the rest of them drop out. They're here to win today, and they have a great shot at this one. Joachim Winkelhock, who has been the fastest here of the BMWs with a 2:15 during the week. That's an incredible time of that car.
Keep an eye out for that little guy. He is crazy. He is really quick.
And win or not, a lot of the credit for their performance here today has got to go to Frank Gardner, who for the first time in many years is not here for the Great Race, but he's at home on the Gold Coast watching our telecast. Frank, keep in good health, my friend, and sit back and enjoy.
And another face missing today from the crowd normally along Pitt Straight is that of Harry Firth, who has been a part of this race since day one. Harry hasn't been feeling all that well. He's been in hospital. We hope you're enjoying the telecast so far, Harry, and also to Tom Smith, the motorsport manager for Shell. You'll obviously be following Paul Radisich and Dick Johnson very, very carefully. Well, the grid Cars come down beneath the Bridgestone Bridge at the moment. The front 20 cars already line up. Larry Perkins, a tremendous show, making pole position the front row last year. He's got the young Turk alongside of him in Mark Scaife. There's Brocky in the 05 Mobil 1 Commodore. 15 Thomas Mazera, who has done an excellent job all season. As we look beyond Thomas, you can see our former 500cc world champion Wayne Gardner. What a difference this year for Wayne. Reasonably uncompetitive car last year. There's Dick Johnson of Queensland. The Demon from Daisy Hill is ready to run. So the field almost set now. 10 seconds away from the start. Now the revs come up on the starting line. Larry Perkins and Mark Scaife. Who will it be into the first turn? Off, racing. Perkins by the country mile. Wins the start. Scaife is nobbled by about 3 on the inside as they come roaring up to the first turn. Scaife goes back a couple. Johnson was up on the inside of Scaife to keep the pressure on him as they round that turn. We're off to a fine start. One of the PJ cars back in the field. Perhaps that could be Brabham, Jeff Brabham. Yeah. But they make their way up the hill over the crest beneath the MasterCard Bridge. And they're on their way to the first right-hander. Look at Perkins opening it up. And the 2 Telecom Mobile Net Commodores off to a brilliant start.
Glenn Seaton trying to push through on the inside there. Thankfully, a nice clean start to the 1993 Tooheys 1000. But look at Perkins. He said he wanted to break this field apart. He wants to set the pace and demolish the opposition. He's doing it the right way in this opening lap as the HRT cars following through. First of the Winfield cars and Glenn Seaton in 5th.
Crompton made a move up on the outside of one of the Shell cars but had to tuck in. Brock is behind him. And then, of course, we have the second of the Winfield cars.
Dreadful start from Scaife, and Winkelhock was the other guy who got off on the dirt there on the first turn.
Big roar from the crowd as Larry Perkins leads this flying V8 field across the hill. Listen to the roar. Larry gets 100 metres on them as they come through. It's Holden, 1, 2, 3, 4, then the first of the Falcons. Look at this. Blistering pace from Perkins. I'll be interested to see his opening lap time.
It'll be quick, but he won't run at that all day. That's just a little psychological break over the field at the moment. He's doing it very, very well. And the 2 HRT Commodores, very strong back there in 2nd and 3rd. And the next then is Mark Scaife. Look at this for a breakthrough tyre power turn. The wide open spaces of Conrod Straight, unmistakable sound this year of the V8s as Perkins leads them down Conrod.
Pedal to the metal. Larry Perkins got the whole V8 revving very strongly. 550 horsepower unleashed on Conrod as they come under our camera for the first time. Thomas Mazera in 2nd position. Mark Scaife in 3rd. 270, 280 kilometres an hour.
So Scaife has already picked up one. He's gone by on the inside of Wayne Gardner. He's back to 3rd. Gardner is 4th. The next is Glenn Seaton. Then it's Dick Johnson as they go through, followed by Neil Crompton and Peter Brock in 05. The first lap about to be reeled off by Larry Perkins. The crowd along the straight here just stand as the veteran brings them across the line and the hands go up.
Good news and bad for BMW. Tony Longhurst in the 25 car, which he's sharing with Steve Soper, already up to 12th position, but we understand that Joachim Winkelhock in the Coca-Cola entry may be coming into the pits.
We just had word car 35 that ran wide on that opening corner, the Brabham car. Here is coming into the pits. Word is spoiler and tyre damage. That's going to be a very expensive mistake as David Parsons brings the car into pit lane.
Let's go down to Eddie Raymond.
Yes, you're exactly right, Marco. So we're a front spoiler. David was hit apparently from behind, held corner on the first lap. They're going to have a look at tyres. They're going to have a look at the front axle. There's a little concern, as you can see on the screen now, that Bridgestone front spoiler is going on. A very costly error for Team Peter Jackson.
Thank you very much, Andy. It is a long race, though, and there's Glenn Seaton, car number 30. He'll co-drive today with Alan Jones. Perkins, they're a little closer the second time across the mountain.
They are indeed, and that front spoiler that we just saw being replaced, you know, with these wings on and the big wings, the amount of downforce these cars have, they're undrivable without the spoilers. They are so much slower.
They're doing a little bit of sprinting here at the front half of the field, but Perkins, that gap has narrowed just a little back to Thomas Mazera, Mark Scaife, Wayne Gardner. Next is Glenn Seaton, Dick Johnson, Neil Crompton, Peter Brock. That's the order. But Perkins gets away down through the wiggly bit.
Crompton's having a good run here, and Scaife there making a move on the inside of the 15 car and moves up another spot, back into 2nd place now, making up for that costly start.
Don't write Mark Scaife off. He's allowing Larry Perkins, a little time in the undisturbed air, but he'll be on the tail. If it's not the next lap, it might be the lap after.
All the top V8 teams have tipped a real sprint race to the first pit stop. Certainly opinions vary on when that will be. When you look around the 25 lap mark and they start looking at coming into the pits, it's going to be a red hot pace. We'll have the times for you. And David Parsons rejoins the track in the Peter Jackson Falcon.
Well, he's out. Let's hope he doesn't go down a lap, because the rest of the field are coming across the start-finishing line at the moment. And I'll tell you who is making a move. Here he is, Glenn Seaton, down on the inside of Wayne Gardner.
Oh, gets squeezed for space, puts two wheels up on the ripple strip, no damage. So, first time across, first flying lap. Larry Perkins, a 2:18.172. Keep in mind, these cars are on full race setup with a full tank of fuel, 120 litres sloshing around the back of these things. That's a pretty quick time, Wilco.
Yeah, and there's some room for him to come down even further. Larry himself predicted that he was going to run in the 2:15s, and, well, at this pace he might be right. Once the fuel load starts to lighten off and the tyres start to grip a little better.
Yeah, it's been suggested if they try and run at that pace, though, some of them might not last, and that could be where the BMW scores.
The trouble is you get swept up in this. Let's take Dunlop race cam. We ride on the hood of the Dick Johnson, John Bauer, Shell Racing Falcon EB. And he is sitting right behind Glenn Seaton as they make the run up to the left-hander at BP Cutting. Won't require commentary. Listen to the sound of the V8 Ford as he sits in behind Seaton for the run across the mountain. Seaton not able to get away at this stage from Dick Johnson. Neil Crompton is there too, and the GIO Commodore. Apart from the incident involving David Parsons, incident-free at the front end of the field.
Neil Crompton, Peter Brock sitting behind the two Fords. Crompton was quite confident. He's not going to push this car too hard. He's going to get a nice, comfortable pace. Watch the pace of the leaders, and it's a good strategy.
Good start from Crompton as well. He started 10th off the grid. He's up to 7th.
STB race cam, yep. Showing Glenn Seaton. Little drink there on Conrod Straight. Check out the mirrors. He sure does look relaxed behind the wheel.
Certainly hard at work, though. A little flick up in the mirrors, a little glance down at the gauges. He holds the thing flat out down Conrod.
And in fact gets away from Dick Johnson just marginally down the straight. Meanwhile, Mark Scaife getting a little closer to the leader.
Wayne Gardner very impressive about qualifying. Now look at Scaife. He's coming down the inside of Larry Perkins under brakes, and Scaife wants to lead this thing. There's no doubt about it. He's in a big hurry.
He certainly is, and Larry will let him lead for a while and sit in the draft as they reel one more off. And the Mark Scaife fans all jump up along the straight.
And look at the times, 2:15.5 on their third flying lap. That is unbelievable. These things in race trim, we saw them doing it yesterday with a full tank run, 2:15.5. That may be the pace for these early laps of the race. So Scaife now will be the hare. Got everyone chase him. Larry's going to go with him. But just behind him, the Holden Racing Team Commodores and the two Fords, keeping them well in view.
And I guess the decision now, those sitting back behind the two leaders, is do you catch them and stay with them, or do you play it a little more conservatively, sit back behind them for a while?
I guess that's where the guys with two-car teams have an advantage, because they can leave one to try and chase the leaders and try and stay with them, and run one a little bit off the pace, perhaps, at a more conservative 2:18 or so sort of lap time.
Been just the one early pit stop. That was the 35 Peter Jackson entry with Jeff Brabham, and the reports about a possible stop for the Coke car driven by Jochen Winkelhock not proved correct so far.
So the Commodores continuing their qualifying form at the opening laps of the race. These cars incredible, like 3 seconds, almost 3 seconds faster than they were last year. Car 45, meanwhile, in the pits, the Gulson BMW 635. The family team, unfortunately, Tanya, Graham's daughter, wasn't quick enough. She didn't qualify for the race, so it's just Graham and Ray. But they've got problems very early on the race in this normally bulletproof car.
That's Graham in the car. The gap